Yoshua, what do you think about that? No?
Okay, no, yeah, because the thing about John being Elijah, they asked him in the first book of John in the gospel. They
Spirit of
asked him if
Elijah.
he was
That
at it, because you say that he
don't
must
mishear
come
me.
in the spirit of Elijah. Okay, so
Spirit.
you're saying it's the spirit of Elijah, but the Tanakh is actually telling us that it is Elijah himself, and it's telling us that it's at the
Okay.
end of days.
So that's good.
Okay.
Okay,
So that's good. Let's talk about that, Courtney. What? Why?
Yeah.
So how can it
Let
be
me
the
press.
spirit of Elijah?
Okay. Let me press you on that. So you're a Peshat reader, yeah? Like
yeah.
you read just what the Peshat says. So it says it's going to be Elijah come. Well, here it says David's going to be their king. David's dead.
Hmm.
They're going to come and seek the Lord and David. David's dead.
David's
David
dead.
died. David's Mashiach. Hold on. David died. David's Mashiach. If you are Mashiach, you're not allowed to die according to Judaism. David's dead. So this is literally in the Peshat telling you they're going to come and seek David, their king.
Hmm.
Yet you are reading in Peshat. So that ought to tell you, my point is that ought to tell you it's pointing you to the Davidic line. But then if you're going to hold, you got to hold that same energy whenever you go over into the spirit of Elijah. If it says Elijah's coming, then you got to open your door on Pesach waiting for Elijah to walk through the door. You got to hold that same energy. You don't get to say, this is literal Peshat, this is spiritual. And if you do, you have to validate that. And if you validate that and I come against it, which is what I'm doing right here, then you have to answer that as well. Spirit of
Okay.
Elijah is not the same thing as you are allowed to read the text and say you think it's literal. But I'm also allowed to tell you I don't think it's literal. And there's a reason why. Because Hashem says in Hosea 3:5 that they're going to seek Hashem by the Mashiach, which is David, but it's not David because Mashiach died, because David died here. Okay? So it's telling you that it's the Davidic line. That's all it's saying.
Okay, so the resurrection of the dead. Okay, the resurrection of the dead. Ezekiel 37 specifically tells you, it tells you about the resurrection, the restoration of the house of Israel, and it tells you
Yeah.
again that David will be their king. It tells you
Yes, and again, I can
So
go
what's wrong with
ahead.
that,
Go
Courtney?
ahead.
Why? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with this
the
saying that David will
resurrection
be
of the
their
dead.
king?
So that's why Elijah,
Okay.
David, we're waiting for the resurrection of the dead. When this happens, the kingdom will be restored. Mashiach will be crowned.
Okay, so you believe that it's now not a son of David, that it is literally David himself.
The
Because that
resurrection
contradicts
of the dead.
everything. Huh?
I'm talking about the resurrection of the dead. The whole Mashiach issue will happen after the resurrection of the dead, and the prophet will crown the Messiah.
Okay, so this whole argument, you have said that the Messiah is the son of David. And since Jesus is not born from the son of David, according to you, then he can't be Mashiach. Now you're saying Mashiach is literally David, the one mentioned in the Bible. So he's now not a son of David.
No, I'm not saying.
You can't have it both ways. You're talking
I'm not
about the
saying that.
resurrection. You mentioned the resurrection, right? You brought forth the resurrection, saying David's going to be
Yes.
resurrected, then he's going to be Mashiach.
No, no, no. I'm saying because you're asking me. You're asking me. No, hold on, hold on. You're getting it wrong. You're asking me how would Elijah? Because you're saying that it's not literal. That it's just metaphorical. You spoke a lot about things being
No, I didn't
metaphorically.
say it
Yeah.
was metaphorical. No, I'm
That,
saying
that,
that
that the spirit of Elijah.
yeah, that I'm getting at is that the text says that David is going to be their king, who you identify as the Mashiach. Then that means that you have argued for the last hour and some change that he is going to be the son of David. But now here in this text, it is very clear. It doesn't say, and they will seek the Lord their God and the son of David their king. It says David. Now you say Ezekiel 37
It
or
says
36
David.
really is through the resurrection that David will be their king. Then you've argued for the last hour and some change that it's the son of David.
Son. No, it must be from David through Solomon and his descendant.
David.
No, I'm
You
proving.
don't
I'm
get to
proving
have
that
it both
the
ways.
resurrection will take place. Resurrection will
So will
take
the
place.
resurrection
I
take
mean,
place in
when we
David's
see
kingdom?
David, in the Tanakh, when we see David, this is a reference into the Mashiach, or what you would call
Yes.
the house of David. Okay,
Yeah.
you agree with that, right?
Yeah, and that's my point. When you see Elijah, it's a
Okay.
reference to the spirit of Elijah. That's my point. But it literally says Elijah. So it's either you're going to look at it all the time in the literal understanding, or you're going to see that there's an application. The New Testament is showing you that it's the spirit of Elijah. It does say that Elijah will come, but the Tanakh is clear. He has to be born from the line of David. Here's you now saying,
Exactly.
we throw all of that away because we don't have a temple which documents all that stuff anymore. So if this man arrives on the scene, what are you going to do? Go give me some blood. I need to know if you're from David. But it doesn't tell us that's how we do this. We have to have it documented. Yeshua's bloodline was documented in the temple before it was destroyed. He was legitimate.